Agent Power Hour. Thanks for being here. We're going to be learning about Kendall Bonner's Motivated Mover Method. I'm Colby, joined as always by our team, my mom, Eva, my brother Dylan, the rest of our Every Move Collective family. We run a bi-coastal top producing team out of Westchester County, New York, Connecticut, and Los Angeles, where I typically reside. And we also run Every Move Collective at eXp Realty, which produces these weekly calls every Thursday. These calls are for learning, networking, community, and they're for all agents, regardless of company or experience level. We really believe strongly in collaboration. So thank you all for being here with us today. Really quickly, I'm going to drop our school link. If you want to join our community, this is really the best way to stay up to date on future calls, see what the topics are every Thursday. Today, we're actually hosting a second call with Healthy Mind Collective in 2 hours. So we have this one and then another call at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. This is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, and we are hosting a panel to honor that. We have an amazing group of panelists coming on. It's going to be a really, really powerful conversation. So if you have time later today and want to join us for a second conversation, please do. The information is in our school. If you can drop your location in the chat, that would be helpful for us and our speakers to understand who's in the room. If you're able to turn your camera on, we would appreciate it and we encourage you to do so. And feel free to jump in and ask questions. Use the chat. We'll stop and answer questions as we go. There'll be time at the end. If you want to raise your hand, you can use the feature to do that, or just old school raise your hand. I never see that on Zoom these days. Usually it's the yellow emoji, but we welcome actual hands being raised too. So, um, before we get into it with Kendall, we have a partnership with our friends Tony and Jake at Apex Agent. Tony's joined us here on the call today. This is a weekly segment where we take the first 5 to 10 minutes to talk about digital marketing and the AI landscape. So I'm gonna pass it over to Tony. I'm not sure what we're getting into today, but excited to find out as always.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So I have a couple of things, but number one, I want to say this. You guys are in for
Hey,
a
good
treat.
morning.
Kendall
How are you?
Bonner is
Oop.
amazing. So you guys are in for a treat. So with that being said, though, like I come on these calls to talk about AI tips and tricks and what's going on in the AI landscape. And I've done actually about 5 different AI teaching segments, and including a 3-day challenge in the past week. And what I realized is people are still struggling on how to use AI. Like what seems so easy to me is so foreign to others, right? And not just the people that I have been talking to, they're frustrated with AI. They're saying, Tony, it's just not working for me. I don't think it's going to really scale. I don't think it's going to really grow. Who here is using AI every single day? Is anybody using AI? Type one in the chat if you're using AI every single day. And I'm really curious to know who here has been frustrated with your responses from AI. Like you are using it, it's doing okay, but it's not like forward thinking for you. Okay? It's not forward thinking for you or anything like that. So that's really where, I wanted to talk about 2 things, if you don't mind, really quick, Colby. Number one, and this was like the biggest epiphany moment that I thought was kind of like this most basic thing, but there's something called push prompting and pull prompting. Pull prompting is where you ask it something. So let's just say this. It's let's say you want it to build something for you, but you don't know the exact framework you want it to build within. So let's say you're like, hey, I want you to build me a listing presentation. Most people say, build me a listing presentation with this. Build it. Who here prompts like that? Does anybody prompt like that? And it's okay if you do. Type one if you do prompt like that.
I
And it,
definitely prompt like that.
okay, that is push prompting, right? Pull prompting is, and the proper way to use AI is say, hey, I want to build a world-class landing page or a world-class listing presentation. Can you please identify 10 of the top listing presentations on the internet and let me know your thoughts on them? You have them go out and do the research for you. Then you say, okay, now that you have this, My name is Jeffrey with eXp Realty, and I want you to create me an even better listing presentation. Can you do this? By the way, here's my logo. That way, you're allowing it to use its brain versus you using your brain for AI. Does that make sense? Is that an aha moment? I know it's kind of, to me, it's very basic, but a lot of people don't realize that. Okay.
I
A
think that's
lot of,
become more obvious to me using Claude, which
yes,
clearly has such a capacity to think critically, more than
yes,
I notice on ChatGPT anyway.
yes. And the other side of it too is one big thing for agents. Agents are struggling. How can I use AI in my CRMs? Claude, all those other Claude connects to Lofty, Bold Trail, every single platform you have as a CRM. Guess what? Download Claude Desktop and type on Claude Code and say, "Hey Claude Code, I want you to log into my Lofty or Bold Trail and analyze my CRM for the top 5 likely people fixing to move."
Wow.
That's all you have to do. So I know I only had 10 minutes. I just want to drop those few quick nuggets. You can Google how to do it, but I want to turn it over to my dear friend and your amazing presenter today, Kendall Bonner.
Thank you, Tony. Really
Yes.
appreciate you. If anyone has any questions about that, feel free to reach out to us on school or just text us, call us, whatever after, and we'll get you more information. But super grateful to have Kendall with us. Kendall is such a magnetic and awesome leader, industry recognized speaker. I've seen her on several stages now, former VP of industry relations, and runs a kick butt team out of Tampa Bay. So she's tuning in from Florida. The background is a painting, but that's probably what it looks like. Anyway, Kendall also runs the Industry Speaks Academy. So you're in for a treat because not only does she speak on stages, she teaches others how to do so as well. And I will hand it over to her so she can tell you a little bit more about her background. But she really is amazing, and I'm super excited to learn from you on this topic today, specifically because so big with my sphere, and I need to figure out a way to tap into it more. So, thank you for bringing this topic forward. We're excited to learn from you.
Thank you so much, Colby. Thank you everyone for being here today. Super excited to, get into this information with you. This is something very near and dear to my heart. And so I'm excited to break it down for you and share with you what I have learned over the years. Now, here's the thing. Kobe said in the beginning to raise your hand. And if you have questions, this is what I'm going to ask you to do. Write the questions in the chat for me and then just pause it. And then at the end, when I finish, I'm happy to answer all the questions that you have. And the reason why I say that is because I have a presentation and I'll be looking at that to remember and stay on track. And I don't get to see all the hands raised, and I'll lose seeing your faces because of the presentation. So I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. Just throw them in the chat and we will get to them. All right. Are you guys ready? Who's ready to rock and roll? I see a lot of faces. Woo, I love it. Yes, let's rock and roll, friends. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we are going to kick this off. So, thank you all so much for being here. And thank you truly for the opportunity to be here to present to you guys today. It's an honor to share time with you because I truly and genuinely believe that there's no greater investment of our time and energy than when we invest it in ourselves. And I hope that you agree with that. And so over the next, less than an hour, I want to share with you something that if someone had handed this to me when I got into real estate, it would have just really changed the trajectory of my career. Like it's where I started, but then I got off track and I'm going to share that whole story with you. But it took me years to really unpack this and to figure this out because nobody's talking about this. No one is teaching this. And so, and it's a shortcut. For lack of a better word, it's a sort of business hack, right? That I really feel that God put on my heart to share with others. So I wrote a book about it. And I realized that when I built my business this way, it was something that completely changed all the opportunities in the career that I had going forward. So here's what I want you to take away from today. I want you to recognize that I'm going to help you completely change the way you see the market, the way you see your business. And this is not a new script. I'm not planning to give you a new app or new tool. It's really just a new lens. And once you see through it, you can't unsee it. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Kendall Bonner. I'm an attorney licensed in Florida. I'm a former broker owner. I owned a Remax for almost 10 years. I'm a real estate team founder and the author of the Motivated Mover Method, right? Also, I built my real estate business specializing in this concept, right? This is where I started. And within my first 30 days of getting into real estate, my first 30 days back in 2011, I had 2 listings within 30 days and I had a closing within 90 days. If anyone was doing real estate back then, you understand that that was not normal. That was a unique perspective, or that was a unique experience. And it came at one of the most challenging times in real estate in the career, for many of us in our careers, right? Which was the short sale market. So this particular method that I'm going to teach you, the strategy I'm going to teach you today, it is what helped me build a consistent seller pipeline and ultimately, had my business such that I would generate and have, anywhere from 20 to 30 listings at a time. And then once I went on to own my own brokerage, I helped lead agents and teams and brokered thousands of transactions over that time. So I've seen what works. I've seen what doesn't work. I've watched real estate professionals struggle year after year with honestly the same problem over and over and over again, right? And a lot of times I see them struggle with where their next client is coming from. And my problem with that is I've just gotten so frustrated watching good real estate professionals struggle in the business. So I have a passion for this, right? So you'll feel the energy, hopefully, which is no agent left behind, right? I want to see no agent left behind because I feel that every agent deserves opportunity to build a consistent pipeline. And this business changed my life, and I know that it can change yours too, if it hasn't already. So here's my question for you. I want to ask, who has ever or knows someone who has ever had a slow month in real estate? Put a yes or no in the chat. I have the chat over here so I can try and see it. But if you've ever had a slow month or you know someone who's had a slow month, these are the months where you looked at your pipeline and felt that like extremely sinking feeling, right? Where is my next transaction coming from? And more importantly, where is my next check coming from? How am I going to pay my bills, right? And if this has happened to you or someone you know, you are in the right place. I'm going to try to teach you what I can in this short period of time. I can only do so much in a short period of time, but don't worry, we have resources to help you not to ever have to go through that again. So let me start here because most of you are thinking if you have this problem, right, that you had this inconsistent pipeline, you have that slow month, right, that the problem is that you don't have enough leads, the market is bad, you need more followers, right? When things are slow, agents typically think these things. They think they blame it, think it's the market. I won't say blame, but they believe it's the market. They believe they need to have a bigger budget. They need to have more tools or different tools or whatever that might be. Do you agree with that? Do most people think one of those things tends to be the problem? Would you guys agree? Yes? Okay, good. I'm just making sure that we are all on the same page. Well, I want to offer you what I believe to be a different diagnosis, right? I believe that, what most agents are doing, it's not all their fault. I really do believe that we work hard. And the problem is that when one actually explains inconsistent pipelines, it's not the hustle that's the problem. It's our marketing tends to talk to everyone, so it talks to no one. Okay? And you're chasing attention instead of something else, which I'm going to teach you today. So I feel like we've all been working really hard, but at the wrong ingredients. Let me show you. I'm going to ask you this. Who is tired of posting into the void? Right? The void of real estate, right? A lot of real estate agents, their social media feels like one of the hardest puzzles to solve, right? You're chasing the algorithm, you're chasing trends, you're watching what everyone else is doing, you're trying the reels, the carousels, the listing videos, the market updates. Whatever someone told you that was working that week, you've been trying it. But here's the problem. You keep still missing the mark, right? And after all that time and energy, it still feels like nothing is happening. No one's calling you out of the blue. No one's showing up in your DM saying, yes, please help me buy a house, right? Or maybe no one's commenting. I've been waiting for someone to post an interest rate update, right? Come please list my house. No one's saying that. And that's not what's happening for most real estate professionals. Now, if you find yourself thinking there has to be a better way than this, because this is not what you signed up for, I totally understand that. You got into real estate to help people buy and sell houses, build relationships, and make a good living doing work you enjoy. You did not get into real estate to become a content creator. Can I get an amen? Is that true? I hope that's true for you, because I know it was true for me. Yes, okay, good. I wanted to see if you guys are still paying attention to me. Well, good, because I know that there are some people who claim, right, and who say that they built a complete business around um, getting, all their business from real estate or from social media. And I believe that it can be true for a few people. I'm not denying their claims. I believe that they can do that, but really they're the one percenters, right? For most real estate agents, that's just simply not the reality. And so when you're doing what everyone else is telling you to do and it's still not working, something is wrong. Do we agree? So, who remember? Do you guys remember the yellow pages? I remember the yellow pages. If you're old enough, if you're born in the 90s or earlier, you know exactly what we're looking at here. You are looking at the yellow pages, and this was the old way of doing things, right? This was how we marketed in the past. And, what's funny about this is that, you know, we used to spend a lot of money to be in the yellow pages. In fact, my husband and I, we had a law firm for many years, and we spent one year like $60,000 plus a year to be in the yellow pages. And this is what you're taught. If to get on TV, do radio spots, do the billboard, newspaper ads. Back then, everything was about visibility, right? You paid for the biggest advertisement, you paid for the best placement, you paid to run a commercial on television. And the reason why is because the more visible you were, the more people would see you. And when people saw you, there was some percentage of those that would eventually call you. So that's $60,000 that my husband and I used to pay every year for advertisement and the yellow pages, friends, just a stale ad in the yellow pages. That was a lot of money for us. But that ad would make or break our business because there were not many other options available. So we'd spend all that money to place that advertisement and then wait for people to find us. We'd wait for the phone to ring. We'd wait for our return on investment. It was what we refer to as a visibility game. But then something happened. Social media walked in, Facebook walked in, Instagram, TikTok, and suddenly anyone could become visible. Not only could anyone become visible, but they could do it for free. So what happened? Everybody started posting, everyone started creating content, everyone started competing for attention. Basically, the game changed and nobody told us how it would impact how we market, right? So everyone's still chasing visibility, right? Every day, Meta has told us 3.56 billion people open Meta's apps every day. They watch 140 billion reels and they share 3.5 billion reels. Somewhere inside that ocean of attention, you're hoping someone's going to notice your post, your listing, your interest rates, your market update. Visibility is no longer the problem, my friends. Relevance is. Now, just to give you a little perspective here, I want you to look at this. I asked ChatGPT to build me, show me how many zeros are in 140 billion. Look how many zeros that is. Not only that, I said, how many pizzas? What would 140 billion pizzas look like in the Raymond J. Stadium? That is where the Buccaneers play. It said there would be stacked 68 pizzas high. across the entire stadium. That's crazy. That's crazy. So I want you to do something for me because I wanted like just to show you how noisy it is. Everyone, I want you to pull out your phone for me. And I want you to open up your IG, right? Open up your IG account and look at your For You page, like your Explore page, right? If you do that right now without overthinking it, or just don't overthink it, just look at that first post that you see. I'm curious if you could give me just a word or two. How would you describe it in the chat, right? Maybe you see puppies, you might see a house, Taylor Swift. I don't know. I would see Beyonce in my post, right? Maybe you see fishing. I don't know, recipes. Okay, good. Bachata, vacation for the summer. Maybe someone's got golf. Maybe someone sees announcements for soccer. Someone wrote about FIFA. My point here, right, is that we're all using the same application, but we're all not seeing the same Instagram. Instagram is not one giant feed. It's billions of personalized feeds. So what is relevant to you may not be relevant to me. What is relevant to Kobe is not relevant to Carl, right? I look at my husband's social media feed sometimes when he's scrolling and I'm like, what in the world is that? I never see that, right? It doesn't show up on my page. And that happens because the algorithms have become sharper, smarter, and more sophisticated. And the platforms are trying to predict what each person is most likely to find interesting. So your content's not only competing against every other real estate agent, it's competing against what the platform believes is what's relevant to them at that moment. So what happens when you see something that is irrelevant to you? Tell me what you do in the chat when you see irrelevant content or something that is not meaningful to you at that moment. Yep, we keep scrolling. We scroll right on past it. And that, my friends, is what's happening to your content. And so what makes it worse is you're a business. And Meta makes money from ads. So in my opinion, nowhere does Meta say this. Why would they make it easy to promote our businesses organically when they know we will pay to generate traffic? Like just putting that out there. So while Meta doesn't officially say they suppress our posts, right, that aren't ads, its stated position, this is what they do acknowledge, is that feed and reels are ranked according to predicted relevance, interest, and engagement. So Meta's own systems choose from thousands of possible posts and recommendations, keep competing for your limited attention. That 10 minutes you might spend on social media scrolling as soon as you wake up, or 10 minutes before you go to bed, right? They're competing for that time. So they're going to serve up what they believe is something that you might actually not be able to resist and keep you on the platform longer, right? So Meta is overwhelmingly an advertising agency. In fact, they generated $196.2 billion in advertising revenue. That represents almost 98% of their revenue, right? That's how big this is. And their impressions for ads have increased by 19%. How many of you can't scroll 2 or 3 posts before you have an ad? Is that me in the chat? Is that just me? No one else is getting ads like I am? It's crazy right now, right? The ads are ridiculous. And so now your organic business post is competing with your friends and family, creators, entertainment, recommended content, other businesses, paid advertisements. So Meta may distribute great organic content, but its business model, it has no reason to favor us. And so this is why the motivated mover method matters. Because if someone has a situation that's happening in their life and you can speak to that situation, Meta is more likely to signal that that's of value and of interest to them based on their algorithmic predictive analytics than for you trying to find them yourself. So I want to do something really quick, really fun. I'm going to stop sharing. And I want you to take a picture. We're all going to smile and we're going to take a picture of our screen since you had your phones out. And we're going to post it and I'd love for you to tag me. I know people are turning off their screen. Make sure you tag me for those of you that are not, please be safe if you're driving. All right. Sorry about that. I just thought I'd interrupt us for a second. Pattern interrupt, take you off the screen for a little bit. All right. So back to our presentation. The next thing though, so here's where I want to explain to you what the motivated mover is and why it matters. All right. So here is what I believe to my core. Every real estate transaction begins with a life event, not your marketing campaign. Nobody wakes up one day and decides they want to buy or sell real estate. Something happens in their life, and that ultimately leads to a real estate transaction. So here's the problem. Many agents have been working hard, but with missing ingredients. They're competing against an algorithm they don't understand, and they're also not meeting the needs and expectations that Meta has for, and their consumers have for how they want their content to be delivered to them. So you have tactics, but you're missing a relevant strategy. It's like, for example, if I told you how to make coffee and you'd never made coffee before, then you go to follow my instructions, but then all you get is hot water. Something's missing. An ingredient is missing when that happens to you. So when you understand that transactions follow life events, your approach to prospecting will change. You'll stop chasing and you'll start positioning. You'll start elevator pitching, right? And you'll start paying better attention. That's the goal here. And then more importantly, you'll stop being reactive and start being proactive. So here's a question I want you to ask or answer for me. There's two groups of people in your world right now. People you know and people you don't know. Which one is bigger? Put a 1 in the chat for people you know and 2 in the chat for people you don't know. Which one's bigger? Yes, overwhelmingly, yes. People you don't know yet by far, that is your growth market. Now, my next question for you is, which one should you be prospecting to? All right, so we've got, overwhelming ones. Well, I'm going to tell you both. The answer is both. And the reason why most agents pick one or the other is because many agents are either sphere-based or they're calling strangers all day. And the reason most agents avoid doing both is because the messaging is different, right? Talking to your sphere versus talking to a stranger, that's not the same conversation. There's not this, the script or the message you use for one doesn't typically work for the other. But what I'm going to share with you guys today, it works for both groups, right? That is the power of this framework. So the truth or the fact is you have to prospect to both groups simultaneously because you constantly have to refill your pipeline. And your pipeline serves you today, it serves you tomorrow, and it serves you well into the future. And this is a simple strategy that speaks to both because when you lead with motivation, the approach translates whether you're in the phone already, if they're in your phone already, or if they are a complete stranger. Because also too, and let me remind you guys, what happens to our pipeline? If we're not filling it with new people we don't know yet, your pipeline is slowly dying. And why is that? Because people move away, people forget about you, people become your colleagues, right? I love it when one of my clients then becomes, I won't say my competition, but definitely a colleague, right? They'll go and get their real estate license. So what exactly is a motivated mover? A motivated mover is someone whose life circumstances are already pushing them towards a real estate transaction. Sometimes they don't even know it yet, is what the beauty of this. So they often feel compelled to buy or sell based on the situation that they're in. So a lot of times, if you're looking at the right signals, the decision for them is not necessarily optional. So I want to break this down even a little bit further. There's curious, compelled, and converted people. Most of you are working with curious. These are the just browsers. These are people who are watching and there's really no real reason for them to move yet. So these are the people that talk to you about interest rates. They disappear after 6 months. Or they say stuff like, I'll list my home when, and you all know this person and they're curious, but we're not hunting the curious. That's not who we want to be working with. Now, the compelled, these are your people who a life event has happened. There's a decision that's no longer optional for them, right? Typically, the house isn't the problem. It's the life event before the house. The house transacting with the house usually becomes the solution. And a lot of times, these people, they're going to transact, but they haven't even figured out they need to do that yet. So they haven't even talked to a real estate professional yet, but they are in motion because of motivation. And then the converted, those are the people that found an agent who showed up at the right moment. And so your job becomes to find the compelled before they become someone else's converted. So think about what that means. A converted client is someone who's already in motion. They showed up in the market. And then you were the agent that reached them at that right time to get the deal, right? That's your goal. And I want to say something here that I hope is an aha for you, because it was an aha for me when I realized this. Buyers and sellers do not self-identify as buyers and sellers. Let me say that again for you. Buyers and sellers do not self-identify as buyers and sellers. Not until we give them that label. So that's why your marketing's not working. When you post, hey, buyers, hey, seller, look at me, let's talk, they scroll right past it. Not because they're not going to buy or sell, but because in that moment, they're not thinking of themselves as buyers and sellers. They're thinking of themselves as a person going through a life event, a situation, and we'll get to what those look like, right? So you have to meet them where they're at, not where you need them to be. That's the lens. So real quick, I want to talk about motivation, because I don't think we spend enough time thinking about motivation. It literally means motive to act. So people take action based on pain or gain, right? That's it. That's typically what moves us. And I learned something from Darren Hardy's compound effect, right? Sorry, I just want to look at my time. Yeah, Darren Hardy's compound effect. He said that pain is a stronger motivator than gain, almost always. So let me give you an example. I wonder if anybody's read the book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. You could just put a yes or no in the chat. If you have read it, don't spoil this for the other people. But basically, he describes this scenario, which is fantastic. It's a great concept. So first, let me say this before I get into the story. How many of us have heard of willpower? Willpower is common, right? Willpower is your ability to act. It's just the, hey, I am able to do something. And most of us are looking for clients and buyers and sellers that are able to act, right? They're able to transact. They're motivated, or I'm sorry, they're not motivated. They're willing, able, and maybe they're approved, right, from their lender and stuff like that. So we're looking for that able, right? But I'm here to tell you, willpower is not enough. So if I were to put a plank on the ground and it's about just an inch off the ground and it's a 4x4, and I'm having you walk across it, and I say, Kobe, I'm going to give you $100 to walk across this plank. Would you do it? You can unmute. It's just because I can see your face.
I trust you, and it sounds exciting, so maybe.
No, but yeah, of course you are. It's on the ground. It's like basically a plank on the ground. You're gonna walk across. I'm giving you $100. It's easy, yes, right? Like there's not a wrong answer to that. Most people are gonna do it, right? But Colby, if I put that same plank across two high-rise buildings, are you gonna walk across that plank?
No.
Absolutely not, right? Not for $100 and probably not for $1 million. I don't know. I always say I'm not for sale. So like there's not a lot of money you can give me or enough money you can give me to do most things if I don't want to do it. But
Yeah, I'm the same way. Pretty risk averse.
yeah, same, right? But Colby, if the most important person in your life is in that other building and it's on fire and you're the only way that they could get help, would you not try to figure out how to get across that building or get across to the other building and save them?
Sure. Yeah.
100%. 100% you're going to try. And what is the difference between all of those scenarios? The answer is why. So not only do we have a willpower, Darren Hardy taught me we have a why power. And our why power goes back to our motivation, right? And so in that scenario, willpower did not change. Kobe always had the will, the ability, right, to do something. Whether she did it or not completely depended upon the why. So every client you're working with has a why power. They have a reason they need to move. And your job is to find that reason before you ever start even talking about the transaction, right? So motivation is connected to a life event, and those life events are connected to what I refer to as the data Ds. Now, let's get into the data Ds here. So what is a data D? Data Ds are I have 14 that I built. A friend of mine, Chris Dreyer, he's the CEO of the company called Reevaluate. We've been friends for many years, and I'll never forget, he's the one that he wrote a white paper around the data Ds, and he built this company around this concept. And so I think he had like 7 or 9, I don't know, something like that. But it got me thinking about data Ds over the years and AI and predictive analytics and things of that nature. And I realized that there's 14. I was able to identify 14th. And in fact, some people argue there's a 15th. And I promise I will tell you what the 15th is, but I want you guys to guess after I explain these. But these are, life events that occur in people's lives that tend to trigger a move. So actually, I'm going to skip these 2 slides and get straight to this one. So here's a complete reference of them, right? Take a screenshot of these if you want. This is a good place to take a screenshot. But the data Ds come into 3 different categories: family and lifestyle, financial and health, and career and opportunity. So would you agree or disagree? If someone's getting a divorce, someone's going to be moving out of that house. Would we agree? Now, 9 times out of 10, there is a real estate transaction that follows. Will there always be a transaction that follows? Not always. Sometimes people reconcile. Sometimes people choose to be divorced and live together because they have no other rational or no other what are the word I'm trying to say? No other option. That's what I'm trying to get out. But for the most part, people, these kinds of things are going to lead to a transaction. For example, when my husband and I got pregnant, we bought a house. When we got married, we bought a house. Actually, bought the first house when we got married, the second house when we had the second child, because we had 2 children, so we needed a bigger space. My mom passed away. I ended up getting 2 houses I had to resell. I had to sell and transact those. So probate, downsizing. My husband and I recently, our last child just went off to college. Guess what? We sold our house. By the way, it went under contract this week. We're in the inspection period right now. We're downsizing because we wanted a house a third of the size of our previous house, right? There's debt, default, diagnoses, damage. Sometimes people have to sell their house because the house has so much damage that they can't afford to repair it, or they've lived in it so long they don't have the reason to repair it and they need to sell it, right? They can't afford to do it. Sometimes it's hurricanes, whatever, right? There's different reasons for damage. Desk is job relocation. Dreamers are those people who are either first-time homebuyers or first-generation homebuyers. Discretionary, that's your 1031 exchanges, your second home purchasers, your vacation home purchasers. And then, of course, duty is exactly what you think it is. It's military. So can we agree and that someone in your database, probably your last closing, I want you all to think about your last closing. What was their data D? They probably had one. If you spent any time with them and you understood anything about their situation, I'd love to see it in the chat. What was the last data D that you worked with in your last transaction? Because it was probably one of these. And then if anyone has an idea about what that 15th data D could be, does anyone have any guesses of what the 15th D could be? It's a reason why people move. At least that's what I'm told. Any guesses? It's dog. What has anyone thought of dog before? I mean, has anyone, some people move for their dogs. Yes, I've been told. I haven't added to my data Ds, but these are the reasons people move. And so this is why it's so important for you to understand that these are the main reasons why people transact. And that's why this is so important to understand this, because you've been ignoring this your entire business. You've been ignoring this. Let me tell you why you've been ignoring it. You've been taught a different way. So this is what you've been taught. You've been taught to swim in crowded waters, right? You've been swimming in red ocean. I remember in my career at some point, someone got in my ear and they said, Kendall, if you want to sell more real estate, you need to hire a coach. And so I hired Mike Ferry. And I started cold calling expireds, for sale by owners, door knocking, mailing the zip codes, all the things he teaches. And now I'm swimming in red ocean, doing exactly what everyone else was doing, right? It's high competition, low conversion. It's exhausting. And this is what it feels like. Don't get traumatized by this photo, friends. Look at the red ocean side of this, right? Zillow leads, portal leads, generic Facebook ads, right? Cold calling, door knocking. It's exhausting and it's painful, which is why nobody likes to do it. So here's how you stop fishing in crowded waters. When I started in real estate back in 2011, I was swimming in blue ocean and I didn't even know it. I had, like I said at the beginning of the call, I had my first 2 listings within 30 days. I had a closing within 90. And this was, like I said earlier, a short sale market where deals could take 6 to 18 months to close. But my niche was debt and default. I was working with people in pre-foreclosure, bankruptcy, doing short sales, deed in lieu of foreclosures, right? They were considering those things. And I was working with attorneys and trustees and taking their referrals that they were giving to me to help these people out of their situation. This was blue ocean. It was low competition, trust transfer, and it was repeatable business. That's the beauty of blue ocean. There's low to no competition. You get that trust transfer and it's repeatable and consistent. And here's why it matters is because you're getting to people before they self-identify as buyers and sellers. How many times have you been on Facebook or any kind of group call, right? And someone posts in the group chat, I need a real estate professional. What happens? We see like 50 million agents raise their hand, DM, comment, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me. That's like the crowded ocean of Miami Beach on 4th of July, where you can't move and everywhere you touch is another body, versus getting to people when they're in their transition phase. And now you're having calm and peace, you're open waters, you're swimming in blue ocean, and there's plenty of fish for you to catch. So how do you find these people? You need a strategy. Most agents I find have tactics, but no strategy. And that's what you've been taught. You've taught to post, to call, to mail, to network, to run ads, to host open houses, to send newsletters, to follow up. All of those are tactics. A lot of you also have plans. Your plans are post 3 times a week, make 20 calls, send a newsletter once a month, follow up every Friday. All a plan does is organize your activity. An activity is managed or is done through tactics. But a strategy decides where you're going, who you're trying to reach, and why they should care, and what activities deserve your time. So without strategy, you have completely full calendar and still have an unpredictable pipeline. You might not need more leads, my friends, or you might need more leads, but generating more leads with a weak strategy can also give you more people to chase, more follow-up to manage, and honestly, more money to spend. And that does not necessarily give you better opportunities. So the motivated mover method is that strategy that allows you to recognize the people who are most likely to need real estate help before they begin calling themselves buyers and sellers. A motivated mover also is someone who is experiencing this life event or major change that eventually will create that housing decision. And that real estate transaction's not the beginning of their story. It's usually the result of something else that happened first, right? So for example, a new job, a marriage, a baby, a divorce, a death, a retirement, some sort of financial challenge. Diagnoses. When my mom got sick with dementia, I had to move her into my house. I had to move her out of her house. Sometimes people get sick or they have a situation where they can't have a 2-story home anymore. They need a 1-story because they can't go up and down the stairs. Or an in-law is moving in with them and they have to care for them. So now they need a home that can serve that need. These are events that create movement. And so this method teaches agents how to pay attention to those events, teaches us how to recognize that there's a story or what that story is before the transaction. And so the better understanding you have of the stories, you have a better opportunity to create relationship before someone else does. So here's something else that you're doing that I would recommend changing. Most agents are posting content that says, hi buyer, hi seller, right? Interest rates changed. There's a new listing. Here are 5 reasons to buy. Here's 3 reasons to sell. Have we seen this content before? We've been taught to post this content, but I already told you why no one's seeing it, why no one's liking it, why no one's commenting on it, why no one is going to be putting it, no one's going to be, in your DMs over this. They're not even going to see it, or they're not even recognizing themselves in it. Because again, most future buyers and sellers do not self-identify as buyers and sellers. They don't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to sell a house. I'm going to buy a house. I'm a motivated seller right now. That's not how people think. But if someone's going through a divorce, they're thinking about divorce. If someone lost a family member, they're grieving. If someone is caring for aging parents, they're thinking about that. That's what they're thinking about. They're not necessarily thinking they need a realtor, at least not yet. So by the time they finally realize they need an agent, they probably already decided how they're going to find one. They're going to go to Zillow. They're going to search Google. They may ask a friend. They may ask ChatGPT, right? Or they'll call the first agent they see. They're not necessarily going to open Instagram and wait for the latest market update to appear. And that's why your motivated mover marketing has to start earlier. It has to start with communicating to the situation, not the transaction. So where most agents mess up is they do finally find a motivated mover, someone in the middle of the life event, and they lead with the transaction. Hey, someone's going through a divorce and like, hey, have you thought about selling? That's not what they want to hear. The person in the middle of a divorce or a grieving parent or a stressful relocation timeline, you cannot be talking about transactions and commission rates and market conditions at that time. The motivated mover method works because the message matches the moment, right? The goal is not generic blast and content for everyone. It's specific message for the moment that they're in, right? As their needs are changing. And now there is a critical note here I do want to mention about fair housing. We have to be fair housing compliant. Some motivated movers or data Ds would be considered protected classes. I'll give you 2 examples, diapers and diamonds, right? You cannot market based on familial status as an example. So that changes how you communicate with that particular group or how you identify them and market to them, if at all. So I just want to say that. So when you're thinking about these things, it's important for you to also recognize when fair housing matters and when it doesn't apply, right? So that is something you have to be thinking about as you recognize these signals and that you pay attention to these things. So my advice to you is to speak to the life event, speak to the transition, not their identity. And so because of that, I want you to write this down. Focus on the transition, not the transaction. Stop chasing visibility and start chasing relevance. Transitions open conversations. Conversations build relationships. And relationships are what stack your pipeline. That gives you that tomorrow business that always comes. So many of us are focused on today business, and then you don't have tomorrow pipeline. Peace comes from tomorrow's pipeline. And when I know I have transactions 3 months, 6 months, 18 months out, and I know exactly who that is because of their timeline, imagine the peace that you feel versus the stress you feel when you don't know where your closings are coming from next month. That's the difference here. So last major point before I wrap up, how this works. Have you ever asked for a referral? This is like a quick tip. I'd love for just one person or somebody to type in the chat. What do you say when you're asking for a referral? from someone you know, anyone you know. And while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you a little story because whether one person writes it or 10 people write it, you're going to all say the same thing.
Hello.
So I remember there, I want to tell you a story real quick about a time when I bought my first Tesla. I remember before buying my first Tesla, I had done a ton of research for months. And then suddenly I saw Teslas everywhere, right? Once I did a Tesla, I started to see Teslas everywhere. But as you know, the Teslas had always been there, right? What changed was my awareness of them. There's something scientific about this. It's called your reticular radar. Now, many of you, no one put in the chat, but I'm going to tell you what the question is because you guys can all agree. When we are asking for referrals, we say, who do you know that needs to buy or sell real estate in the next 6 months? Or some version of that. Who do you know that needs to buy a house? Who can you refer me to that needs to sell a house? Can I get a 1 or a yes in the chat that this is what we actually say? Well, let me remind you, buyers and sellers don't think of themselves as buyers or sellers, nor do they think of their friends as buyers and sellers until when? It's too late. So instead, start telling people or asking people, who do you know who's going through a divorce? Children are graduating from college. Do you have any other friends whose kids are graduating from college? Do you know any other households forming? Do you know anyone who needs more space? Do you know anyone who's, I've been specializing in working with families who have aging parents whose parents need to go into assisted living facilities or, like as you start to speak to situations that lead to the transaction, all of a sudden my brain, it's like, oh yeah, my neighbor down the street, their dad just passed away and he has 3 homes in New York that they don't even know what to do with. I didn't even think about you because it's in New York and it was a past. Like I didn't think about, oh my God, yes, I'll refer you to Sally down the street. You've got to start to activate people's reticular radars by being more specific by speaking to the life transition, not the transaction. You keep talking about the transaction when you should be talking about the transition. Now, here's the thing about the Teslas. Yes, they were always there, but my mind hadn't been tuned into them yet. But here's the funny thing. This is a funny story. My husband told me when I wanted to buy my first Tesla, because I'm on my second one now, he said, don't you buy $100,000 car. So I leased it instead of buying it. But anyway, don't tell him me because it was funny at the time and he was like not happy. But anyway, so here's your motivated mover action plan as we wrap up. There's 5 steps. You're going to pick some data Ds that you're going to work with. You're going to map where they show up online and offline and try to connect with them. You're going to create some niche marketing that speaks to them, that message to moment alignment. You'll build your systems to find them, nurture them, connect with them, follow up with them, deliver, right? And then, of course, you're going to be consistent with how you build and grow this pipeline. Now, most agents, I feel, they try to generate demand. Many of you, you're in this trap trying to generate demand. But listen, friends, these are not leads. These are lives in motion. And motivated movers are out there right now. In fact, there's several in your phone right this minute that you haven't even thought of as buyers and sellers yet, but you know they're going through a divorce. They just got married. They just had a baby. Mom and dad are sick. Mom and dad are retiring. Kid Sally just graduated from high school in May. There's a good chance a transaction is going to follow. Have you said anything? Have you connected with them? Have you brought them relevant value? That's what you've learned today. Now, every great idea leaves you with a choice. You have choices. Number 1, you can keep going and take everything you learned from me today and forget about it, right? Some of you are going to forget about it. I put a little, I don't know. I was asking for an Italian mobster. That's what I got. I don't know. That's what Canva gave me, which I think is funny. Or number 2, and by the way, my husband's Italian, so we can make these jokes at home. Number 2, you can get the book. I wrote a book about this. It breaks down all the tactics, all the strategy, the plan, everything you need to know. And if you're that kind of person that learns by reading and wants the full blueprint, this is a great place for you to be, right? This is a good tool for you to have. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free. The book is free to you. It comes in your subscription, right? So you can go to get the book there and read it and implement the strategies. It's only 10 chapters, but it's chock full, and each chapter gives you steps, right? I built it very tactically to help you walk through that, which something that's important to me, my personality profile. But then there's also path 3, and that's the community. So this is for those of you that are like, I am done with having an inconsistent pipeline. I am done trying to swim in the red ocean. I am done trying to do it like everybody else. I am done with the high competition, high rejection, low return on investment of my time, money, and energy. I am done. I need help. I want a consistency. I know I have a strong sphere, or I know I have a good platform, and I know people out there. I just need help with being accountable, with implementing these strategies, and with taking it to the next level. If that is you, then I recommend that you join my Motivated Mover community on School. It's only $59 a month, my friends. $59 a month, and you get 4 calls a month with me. Plus all the tools I built, all the step-by-step guides, all the implementations. I even built, Tony talked about having like prompting, AI prompting. I even built a 10-page custom content prompt and package for you that when you apply the Motivated Mover method content and this content strategy prompt on top, you can have 30 days of content that's now more relevant to the audience you're looking to attract. So you can get out of the void and get into the scroll stopping feed. So this is meant to be an environment to support that. And the beautiful thing is you get to try it free for 7 days. You get to come in and learn and play and meet other people that are implementing the strategies. I do a weekly call every Tuesday at 11 a.m. where you get to ask me anything, or I share tips and tricks, things that, helping guidance along the way so that you can have the consistent pipeline that you are looking for. So with that, this is the last little bit. You can get the book if that's for you, or you can join the community or do both. I recommend doing both. And so those are your paths. What I hope for you today is to answer any questions that you might have about it. I don't know how much time did I do. Oh, it's like right at 1. I was trying to move a little faster, but are there any questions?
If there are some burning questions, I don't know, Kendall, do you have another call to get to?
Nope, I can say.
We can totally stay on for another 5 minutes. If people need to leave, please go get to the rest of your day. And those who do have questions, we can stay on for a minute. Thank you all for being here. We do this every single Thursday. So we'll be back here again next Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. This one is kind of a niche call for agents who are dual career. And are looking to achieve full-time results. So we've got an amazing agent from, I believe she's with Epic or LPT. These really are brokerage agnostic calls. We don't just bring on EXP speakers. We bring on agents that are willing to open their playbooks and collaborate. Kenise is amazing. She's got an awesome story. She's done like 20 million in volume in her first year or two as a dual career. She has a full-time job and she's pursuing real estate. She's crushing it. I mean, some agents who are doing this full-time can't claim that stat. So definitely come learn from her. Thank you so much, Kendall. This was amazing. The recording will be up on our school and our YouTube. Links are in the chat. Totally encourage you guys to dig into Kendall's offerings. She really is a special, amazing leader that I'm honored to be in business with. So go take on your day if you need to. And if you have questions or you want to stick around and just hear the Q&A, please do. Rima? I think you're muted.
Did you say Rima or Marina?
I said Rima.
Oh, it sounded like Marina. I was like, oh, that's a nice name. I was just curious about, you said that the Tuesday calls are at 11 a.m. Is that Eastern or Pacific?
11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific.
great because I have a standing appointment. I'm in Seattle. I have a standing appointment at 11 a.m. And so I would miss that. But that's good.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
a quick
So
question for you. Oh, sorry, go
whatever
ahead.
coast I'm on, that it's not obnoxious. Yeah. Go ahead, Kobe.
So that line that you said, like instead of saying, who do you know who's looking to buy or sell a home, you ask, who do you know that is going through a divorce, has children graduating from college, households forming, etc. I
Yeah.
think that's so awesome. I love the idea of really focusing on a niche that you can like relate to so that people feel that they're taken care of by someone who's been through the experience.
Yeah.
Or
And well, I would just add and focus it on them, right? So if I'm talking to my peers, it's not going to be having a baby and getting married because we're like 20 years past that. It's going to be dealing with aging parents, divorce. Like you also have to
right,
think about who you're asking.
right.
So I would just add that layer for anyone listening. Like it's just when you're asking those questions, you don't just make them up randomly. Like think about who you're talking
Yeah,
to, who their likely peer group is, and then you
right.
ask that can, where those connective tissues are, because they're more likely to think of that and that make more sense to them
Yeah.
than or buy or sell referral. By then it's too late.
Right. So what is it actually like? If you end up getting connected with someone that you kind of know well, like a friend tells you about a close friend who's going through a transition, like that's easy enough to like connect. You know the person, it's already warm. You just start to have conversation about their transition. But if they're like, oh yeah, my cousin's friend of a friend, so it's a stranger, like what does that then look like? Like, do you ask for their contact information? And if you are reaching out, like what does that initial conversation look like without being too like desperate for the sale, Like I mean, of course you're trying to lead with value, but what is the value?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually have a formula for this I talk about in the book. It's basically part of what you're doing is one, you're always trying to tap into trust transfers, right? Every time, like that's what reviews are, testimonials. People want to do business with people that someone else has done business with, right? So just that alone is super helpful of checking off the box of the trust transfer. Next is like delivering on that, right? So what I would do if I were you, what I would recommend is building items of value based on that life transition. So that does require you to think about if I were going through a divorce, what would be important to me? What kind of information would I need? What would support me? What would I need to hear? And it's not going to be what my home is worth yet. It might be soon, but not yet. Right now, it might be like, oh my God, I'm getting divorced. Who do I need to talk to? Right? It might be, what are all the things like, here's a list of, all the things, if you, all the things to be thinking about when you're dividing households, right? Like, people, there's all kinds of pieces. I don't know if there's anyone that's called who's been in divorce. I personally have not. But I'm sure that there's things that you don't even think about, like where the dog, who gets the dog, custody of the dog, right? I talked about dogs earlier, right? Like there's so many things that they're thinking about that have nothing to do with the transaction. So I would start preparing and building niche specific items of value. And so how you connect with that stranger that's 2 and 3 layers down, or even just a complete stranger, is, hey, Colby, Ron and I were talking the other day, and he mentioned to me that you were going through X. Like you're getting, you're going, I'm just going to say you're going through divorce. Sorry. I hope that's not ever in your future. But anyway, like that you're going through divorce. And he said, I have this item of value. I have this thing, this guide that I believe would be very helpful to you. It's been very helpful to my clients in the past. Can I send it to you? Would that be of value to you? And if they say yes, like, okay, then I just need your email and I'll send it. And these are the kinds of things that you can do where give them a nice, simple, easy next step or easy response. Don't make it complicated. You're not asking them to list their home yet. You're not asking them to come in the home to do a presentation. You're offering them something of value. It's something that like my coach Cheplek, I used to coach with John Cheplek many years or several years ago for a long time. And, it was about, he used to teach us, too many people are trying to make deposits or make withdrawals on an empty account, right? You're trying to like ask for things when you haven't given anything. So if you start and you lead with giving, if you start with value and giving them value and explaining your values, then that's when people will feel more comfortable giving back, right? That's that law of reciprocity. right? You show up at a Christmas party or a holiday party and you are told, don't bring anything, but then someone brings and gives you a gift. Immediately, your instincts go to, oh my God, I need to have a gift for them, right? Or if you know they always do that to you, you will want to come prepared to exchange a gift, right? These are just laws of influence and personal human behavior. So is that helpful, Colby?
Yeah, super helpful. And I'll definitely dig into the book to learn a little bit more about it. So thank you. We're 7 minutes over, so if no one has a burning question, let's wrap up and get on with our days. And thank you, Kendall.
Yeah, thank you everyone for your time today. Did you guys get some value out of this? Was this helpful at all?
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Good, good, good. So glad to hear it. Love to connect with you. Connect with me on social media and however else I can serve you. I look forward to chatting with you, and hopefully I'll see you guys with your feedback on the book and or in the community or on social. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, EMC, for the opportunity to
You're
serve.
so welcome. Thank you for being here. Bye, everybody. Have a great Thursday, great weekend.